Many of us have or want a pet in our lives. It is undeniable that this very friend brings us joy, whether or not they are in our homes or possession. As an owner of two adopted cats, it is great knowing that I can provide them with a home with people who love and care for them. Unfortunately, for many pets, they do not have this luxury to feel loved or even be adopted by someone. Many end up living in a shelter for the majority, if not all, of their life, and many actually end up being euthanized as a result of not being adopted. Whether or not we think about it when we look at our own pets, many are suffering from this fate. Today, I hope that I will be able to persuade you to help home a pet by adopting them instead of shopping for them. According to the ASPCA, approximately 6.5 million animals are in shelters every year. Unfortunately, this also means that about 1.5 million shelter animals end up being euthanized each year. While shopping for that perfect breed of animals seems easier, it is more beneficial for both you and a pet to be adopted from a shelter. First, I will be going over the problem with shopping for a pet has instead of adopting them. Then I will be going over as to why people decide to shop for a pet, and then lastly I will be going over as to how adopting your pet is beneficial for both you and your future pet. Many of us who buy their pets don't realize the detrimental effects it has towards the animals in shelters, as well as those acquired in puppy or cat mills. Puppy and cat mills are commercial breeding facilities that mass produce puppies and cats. According to the Humane Society, the majority of these facilities lack proper veterinarian care for their animals, as well as poor sanitation and space. Adult animals are continuously bred until they can no longer produce. This rings true especially for female dogs. Then they are simply discarded when they can no longer fulfill this purpose. Dogs tend to be cramped into small, filthy spaces where they are stacked in wire cages. Unfortunately, pet stores may emphasize that their breeders are USDA licensed or American Kennel Club registration, but these do not guarantee that the animals are in a healthy state or environment. A USDA license does not guarantee that the animals in the breeder's possession are healthy and well cared for, since the requirements are very low. An American Kennel Club only guarantees that both parents have acquired this license. So once you buy a pet, you reduce the chances of a shelter pet to find a home. As mentioned previously, around 6.5 million pets are put into shelters every year. According to the County of Los Angeles Animal Care and Control, around 40,000 animals had entered in their shelters between July of 2019 and April of 2020. Only about 3.2 million pets are adopted from shelters each year. In certain shelters, after a certain amount of time, if the animal is not adopted, they have bad health, there's overcrowding, or has been considered to have bad behavior, they end up being euthanized. About 56% of dogs and 71% of cats that enter these shelters end up being euthanized. So now that we have gone over the detrimental effects shopping has on animals in shelters, why do people still decide to shop for their pet instead of adopting them? There are a myriad of reasons as to why someone decided to shop for their pet instead. One reason as to why someone decided to purchase their pet is because they want a specific breed that they feel cannot be acquired through adoption. Some shop for a purebred because they want to know the pet's health history. They are able to acquire their pet's health history because the breeder has the history of both parents. Others merely want to have their pet to be a purebred animal. Some examples of this is when people put their purebred animals into pageant shows or even talent shows. Another reason may be that the person just fell in love while shopping for a pet. It can also be considered as like an impulsive purchase. Many pet shops also offer pet leasing. Pet leasing allows the buyer to walk out with their pet. However, they have to make payments, as one would when buying a car. This is a leasing agreement made in order to swindle a person into buying a pet for an exorbitant amount. So now that we've discussed the reasons as to why a person decided to purchase a pet, we can now go over as to why it is beneficial for you to adopt. When you adopt an animal, you are guaranteed to save a life, a healthy pet. And lastly, you won't be supporting puppy or cat mills as well as pet stores. So many animals are euthanized each year because there aren't enough people adopting. Oftentimes, animals are euthanized because shelters are overcrowded and space must be made in order to take in more animals. This leads to workers having to decide which animals they have to euthanize. By adopting an animal, especially at a shelter that euthanizes their animals, you will be saving a life from ending. According to the ASPCA, you will be given a second chance for an animal to have a better life. Not only will you be giving the animal that you adopt a second chance, but as well as for the next animal that comes in to take their spot. This way, you will allow the next homeless pet that comes in to also have the ability to be adopted. All of the animals that come through the shelter are also healthy animals because they are taken care of the moment that they come in. According to Dr. Rebecca Rouge-Gallier from Colorado State University, many shelters actually provide a screen at the shelter, which include vaccinations, parasite treatment, spay or neuter treatment, and the adoption fee. If this wasn't provided initially, they tend to offer you a free veterinarian visit after you adopt. This way you don't have to worry about the expense of all of these procedures, as well as you don't have to worry if your pet is not healthy or will not be taken care of. Last but not least, you will not be supporting puppy or cat mills and pet stores. By adopting from a shelter, you will make sure that you aren't getting your pet from an unethical and inhumane environment. By not contributing to pet stores, they will stop operating if people do not purchase from them. So I hope that today I will be able to persuade you to decide to adopt instead to shop for a pet. First, I went over as to the problem that there is with shopping for a pet instead of adopting them. Then I told you the reason as to why people may decide to shop for a pet. Finally, I explained to you as to how adopting a pet is beneficial for both you and your future pet. So next time you or someone you know see a cute animal at the pet store window, think of the suffering these animals had to go through, as well as the ones that are suffering in a shelter. So decide to adopt instead of shop and save a life for a furry friend.